Welcome back to the Agriland Pavilion for our live stream in association with UPMC and, of course, Pearson Milking Technology. And thanks to Francis earlier, I'm now back in the hot seat again, and I'm joined for our live panel discussion on all things contracting and machinery. I'm joined now by Anne Gleeson-Hanrahan. You're the Managing Director of FCI, and Timmy O'Brien, you're an FTMTA member, a dealer and an importer. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, so I'll go to yourself, Timmy, as an FTMTA member. What are you hearing through the trade, from other members regarding business overall this year?
Business has been back overall, but since I came to the Ploughing Championships here, there's a very positive vibe out there, a lot more positive than I expected. A lot of people have come on the stand and they've been talking about machinery, nearly more so than last year. Even people had a very good year last year and this year. But in general, they've been more than positive about it, and I can see a good future. A lot of people are very happy to see us displaying after they come into the show. They're on that there could be more machinery here even.
And in terms of, at various shows that you go to where there's machinery stands, sometimes they can be lucrative, sometimes it's just about meeting people and maybe not making the sales. Are you finding that you're making good connections, in terms of yourself and other traders who are actually making connections with potential sales out of it?
Oh, definitely, definitely. We are making big connections in the last while. We're getting more recognized.
There's more than tire kickers around, so.
Yeah, there is. We've had very good people, and a lot of people that are coming to the stand seem to have their homework done before they come to us now. Because when you start saying something, they'd say, well, we've looked at that online and we like what we see.
Yeah.
So that would be in the general go of it, really.
And moving to the contractors, what would you say is the biggest challenge amongst the contracting trade at the minute?
One of the biggest challenges is the increase in price in diesel. Diesel is our main fuel, as you well know. And since February this year alone, diesel has increased by 14 cents a litre. That's including excise duty, but excluding VAT. So with that equates to 50 million extra amongst our contractors. So this is obviously proven to be challenging.
Yeah, because where are contractors getting that extra money? Well, most don't have it in their back pockets.
They don't, no, they don't have it in their back pockets. And we do need, also you may look at parts as another extra. So the parts have gone up, increased by some parts up to 100%. Which is a huge increase, and machinery have increased as well 30% since 2019. So it is proven to be very challenging for agricultural contractors.
I suppose, in terms of going back to the dealer side of things rather than the farmer side of things, Timmy, during COVID-19 we had problems with the supply chain. There were delays, components issues. Now, global events affected that. A big ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal affected that.
Yes.
But have things now eased? Can potential farmer buyers expect a shorter time frame to get what they want now?
Yes, up a year and a half ago, if you ordered something, it could be 12 months. Now that lead time has gone to 4 to 5 months for a new custom-made vehicle, like a vacuum tank. Just take that, for instance. We were gone from 11, 13 months at one stage, which when people would hear that, they'd just go, no.
Yeah. It's too long of a wait, I suppose, if you're trying to plan your budget for the year and it's going to be over the year before you get machine. You'd want to be planning well in advance if you knew you needed it.
In general, farmers, if they decide they want something, they like to get it.
Yeah. So are farmers coming into you, as you said, they kind of have they have their research done on what they're looking for.
Yes.
So presumably they have their research done as well on the finances side of things, and they know they might have to wait, the 6 months for it, but they have accounted for that in the whole budget for the year.
Yeah. Actually, recently now people are actually surprised that the lead time is after being cut so much. They were expecting, say, when they'd phone you up about something, they'd expect you to say, well, it could be 6 to 8 months. And you'd say, well, we probably would have it in 4 to 5 months.
And are they coming to dealers finance ready?
A lot are, and a lot are expecting the dealer to find the finance for them.
Oh,
But like that comes with a cost all the time. And a lot of them would have their own banks ready, and or else you'd recommend them to a finance house. In general, there don't seem to be any problem with financing machines at the moment.
okay. And going back to the contractors and the supports that they can access. Now, I know over the years there have been a lot of calls for contractors to be included in various schemes and so on, but they can be excluded from some government supports. And what should they be able to access?
Agricultural contractors don't receive any supports from government. They should be able to access the same supports. Like, we are an agricultural entity and sector, so we should be able to access the same supports as maybe farmers. Not just to say take from the farmers, let the farmers have their supports, but we should receive supports as well.
Well, agricultural contracting is a very vital part
Oh,
of
it is
agriculture,
vital, yes.
you know, for food production.
yes.
If you don't have the contractors in spreading slurry, tillage contractors in with the harvest, any, you know, cutting silage, farmers can't do it themselves.
No, they
Some
can't.
can on a small scale,
see,
but for the majority of farmers, they have to get contractors in.
Oh, it would, because the level of, the size of the machines that we would be using on farms, like, it wouldn't justify a farmer to purchase some of the machines that we would have, as Timmy would well know. And so that would be some major challenge. Now, speaking of the slurry, we have requested from the Minister to extend the slurry date this year back up to October.
Because it's been very difficult for contractors. They're looking at this deadline of October, and they're it's nearly a noose around their neck, and they're flying from pillar to post to try and get it done before then. But the weather hasn't played ball.
No, it has not, and you couldn't be entering fields in this weather. Like, even though the law says you can spread slurry this weather, but the field conditions are not up for it. And we really do need an extension, and an extension without any, say, limitations. It's just the extension right up to the 15th to allow that we get these tanks emptied, because otherwise farmers are going to be with tanks full well before the opening period.
This is true, and we are expecting some sort of an announcement on the deadline for slurry spreading, possibly by tomorrow, coming from the department. But
well, the minister,
will as you said there, will that have conditions? Is the question.
Yes, that is the question. The Minister has, guarantees that he will make the announcement tomorrow. The decision will be tomorrow. But we're hoping, I've heard now since that there's going to be conditions on it, but we're hoping that he will not have any conditions, because it does need to be spread between this and the 15th.
In terms of machinery prices then, be it for the likes of contractors, big
Yes.
purchases, sometimes, multiple purchases, or just a farmer renewing his tractor, or, his harvest machine, or his, whatever it may be, might be even only a trailer. But what about machinery prices, Timmy? I mean, that's the biggest complaint that you'll say farmers had, that, the machinery prices really shot up. But is there a pulling back, although maybe not a pulling back, but for the price that machinery is going now, are dealers offering a bit more with it to soften the blow?
Yes, the dealers are beginning to take a hit on the machines as well, because the cost of production has gone through the roof throughout the whole of Europe. And in the last number of years, production costs and sales costs have gone up by 40% and more. And that's totally unsustainable going into the future. So recently now, the costs seem to be leveling out, but I can't really see them coming back, because the price of steel isn't really back. Labour has gone up across Europe in a big way. Energy costs have gone up in a big way. But the only thing we can hope for going forward is that they level out and hold steady for a while.
And what would you say would be, if you were to give advice now, what would you say would be the most maybe cost-efficient piece of machinery that a standard farmer could buy now?
Most efficient is probably, you have to start out with your tractor.
Yeah.
And for every tractor, there's a lot of implements wanted. And it's very hard to pick one single piece of equipment for that. It depends on the farmer's needs. Some farmers need fertilizer spreaders. There's a lot of talk of going down the road of GPS spreading and all this with the nitrates and having accuracy and variable rate spreaders. That's all very possible today with the technology that's out there, and it can be done very efficient. That would probably be a good investment for farmers today, but it depends on everybody's needs. Every farmer likes something different. It would be very hard to pick an individual. I'd be in and out of a lot of yards in the agri-contracting. You'd have some farmers who'd say they should only have a sweeping brush and a shovel. Other farmers like to have a lot of equipment in their yard. Probably the most efficient farmers are using contractors, because contractors can run very efficiently, are getting the most use out of their machinery, and they're very well maintained. And on health and safety grounds and everything, a contractor is a good bet too.
Yeah.
Because you just take, for instance, here now, you have a farmer and he's under a lot of pressure. They seem to be taking on more and more land, more cattle. They'd put an agitator running, and they'd run up to wash the milking machine or something. And in general, it's the farmers who have the accidents more than the contractors, because they come down, they see something wrong, they're rushing. Whereas the contractors there, he've a man up in it, he've the man told, do not go inside that tank for at least 30 to 45 minutes. Leave it running. And the guards are proper, everything is right. Whereas, like, a lot of farmers are under a lot of time constraint, and they are working very hard, and they're trying to save as much as they can. But on that aspect, I feel that
contracting is the way to go. Yeah. And in terms of the contracting, and I mentioned machinery prices there to Timmy, but in terms of contracting prices, I know the FCI, the contractors, have been trying to keep the prices at a level that's sustainable for themselves, but also, keeping long-time customers and farmer clients happy too. But at the same time, costs are going up and have been, as you mentioned earlier on, with the diesel. Like, there's only a certain base that they can go to before they're losing money.
Yes, well, you see, the margins are very tight in contractors, and especially with the costs that have risen to the level they have risen, and it's becoming not sustainable. Like, at the end of the year, it will not be sustainable to stay going at those levels. Now, we appreciate the farmers are not getting the figure, or say the payments that they have. Milk prices have dropped, grain prices have dropped, all of this. So it's very hard for everyone to get the balance.
And there's even delayed payments from the department this year.
Yes.
They might have planned to give the cheque to the contractor on a certain date, but that'll have to wait now as well.
It will, yes, and it means that the contractors to try and carry that cost, or say that wait time, which is very difficult. Like, bank interest rates aren't cheap. It is hard to balance a lot. Now, another thing too is that when you speak of labour costs have gone up considerably, and there's a serious shortage of skilled labour in agricultural contractors. There is a serious need for training. Training is for skilled workers and drivers is really needed badly, so it is.
And I know that I've seen around the country, Timmy, and it seems to be a trend maybe coming from some of the bigger names, maybe the big three or bigger, but some dealers are there sort of, what's the word, consolidating kind of dealerships and things like that, and maybe the more local independent dealer that was once there is getting that little bit smaller in area, the numbers of them speckled around the country. Yes. Now, you have many hats. You have a hat on today, but you have many hats. Your own business, agri-contracting, you deal, you import as well, SAMAS. And how did you encourage, because no more than the challenges that Anne has outlined there for contracting, your family have come along and joined you in your business. Yes. And that's not an easy feat to get young people nowadays into challenging industries.
No, it's not, but they grew up with it. They always grew up with change in my place, because we moved on. We started out small, and we got more expanded all the time in the agri-contracting, and suddenly I was out in Agritechnica years ago, and I just see these machines, the Sama's machines, and I liked them, and I went to a lot of people, friends of mine that were at the show, and I used to be saying to them, go and look at them. I said they look fine, and I took on the agency, and then we took on more, and it's developed from there. Now we're taking on dealers and distributing into other dealers. But like, we're a very small company in a big pond.
And it's family run, Thomas, Nora, Sharon, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And like, we're just trying our best to keep it going. And I see dealing with small dealers is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because like, a lot of people appreciate in our own area that we have set up, because they can get stuff closer than they had to. Like, with the big consolidation of dealers, there's a long distance to go for parts, or when you break down, that's a major problem. Or a lot of it is, we'll have the part tomorrow. We try to have the part on the shelf if we can.
Yeah.
Because like, if you're broke down, you need to go.
Yeah. Especially at the minute when time frames are tight because the weather hasn't been playing ball.
I can see it from a contractor's point of view. When I'm selling and distributing now, I'd say, well, you need this and this, because we use the machinery ourselves, and we know where the pitfalls are and where the good points are.
Yeah. And finally, I might just ask you about the budget then. What could be done for contractors in the budget to try and help them? Because as you mentioned earlier, they don't get anything.
They get nothing. In the budget, we do need to be getting some sort of supports. In order, if they want contractors to continue in contracting, like our age profile is, say, you could say 50 up, couldn't you, Timmy?
You could.
And it's very difficult. I know we're contractors ourselves, and we have one son who's interested in it, but it's very difficult.
Well, you're lucky then to have your son.
Yes, I am lucky.
Because you could have no son interested in it.
There's a number of, say, contractors around me that have nobody. Yeah. And, like, it is because, like, my son now has 2 children of his own, like, and they need a family allowance for them to survive. And we really do need supports, say, for agricultural contractors, for them to be able to stay going, because these costs have risen to a level that is just not sustainable.
Yeah. And the excise on fuel as well.
Yes, yes. Like farmers get supports, contractors get no supports. Really and truly, we do need supports. We need recognition and a register put together, and we need supports. That's what you do.
Well, Minister for Finance Pascal Donoghue is around the ploughing site today. We've been chasing him down, trying to pin him down all day to see what he is going to do for agriculture in the budget. He's remaining quite tight-lipped, but we will be putting that question to him, and I believe the Tánaiste Micheál Martin has arrived as well. So these are all questions that need to be posed to the government at the moment.
The number of contractors, especially last year, that are getting out of the business is phenomenal. Like, and they're not being replaced. So who's going to do the work? Contractors are under pressure with work as it is. Like, we launched a book there, as you said, the little leaflets back earlier in the year, and we have the list of the contractors in each county in it. And in that book, there's contractors who do not want their name put in for the simple reason they don't want any more work. They wouldn't be able to handle it. So, like, these problems have
and as we mentioned at the very outset there, it's a vital part of the food production supply chain. Correct. Really. You know, I've heard it about agri-mechanicking as well. Like, it's impossible to get young mechanics to come in and learn about, and they're still needed.
Yes.
You know, we might be moving electric, but there's still mechanics needed. You know, like most machinery still is diesel combustion engine at the end of the day.
It's all nuts and bolts at the end of the day, and there should definitely be encouraged to enter apprenticeships. I would be looking for people to take on apprenticeships at the moment, and it's impossible to find real good, interested lads in it. Yeah. Because there is this thing in the last number of years that you go to college, but to get people to do apprenticeships, they can actually earn more than a person that spent 5 years in college, and they're paid while they're training, and they're paid by force while they go to the college and all. Yeah. And like, there have to be support brought down the road for those apprentices to bring them on board and get all these people into the production line as such.
Well, we have to leave it there. And Gleeson Hanrahan from FCI and Timmy O'Brien, an FTMTA member and dealer and importer. Thank you very much for joining us on our live panel discussion. We're coming close to the end of our live stream here. Usually on the Thursday, it can die off a little bit around lunchtime, but because the sun shines out today, it's still very busy on the ploughing site. So let's head back out to the Agriland team and see what they're up to.